Good evening, everyone. This is Stanley McCoy, and today I'm going to be talking about assignment M2.4, the final project for this assignment. Um, we were tasked with taking a site near uh, Arizona Falls, the park at Arizona Falls in particular, which is located just northeast of Phoenix, um, is a prime spot for a public gathering space that will serve as an anchor to surrounding neighborhoods. This highly visible site is situated just south of Camelback Mountain, just north of Papago Butte, making it easily accessible from Phoenix, Scottsdale, and Tempe. The park currently features tennis courts and a parking area for visitors. The parking area will remain, but the tennis courts will be demolished, and the new structure will be developed just east of the parking area. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here as we go through the pages of this project. So first we have the regional diagram, and what we see here is that the site is located, like I said, just northeast of Phoenix, kind of centralized between Scottsdale on the east, Tempe in the southeast, as well as Camelback Mountain to the north, and just to the south, Papago Butte. When we zoom in a bit more to the site, we could envision ourselves standing at the center of where the development would be. If we looked immediately to our north, we'd see an image, or we'd see Camelback Mountain. If we look to the right, and we had the height clearance, we could see the city of Scottsdale. And just to the south, we can see Papago Butte, as well as Tempe. We can also see South Mountain. If you look to the right, you'll see downtown Phoenix, and just north of that, more northwestward, we have the Biltmore area. As we zoom in even closer and get to our site, here we have several site views. So the very top one is looking north of the area, which is here. Here we have Indian School Road, which is just to the south of the site along this line here. We have exceptional road frontage, as we can see from this east-westward looking view down Indian School Road. Here we look at, and here if we look down to the east, we see that that same amount of frontage is available in the other direction. So we have quite a bit of frontage, so good exposure and visibility for the site. As far as the program areas and groupings are concerned, the program calls for several elements, and they're described here as groups of elements with similar purposes. These elements are placed at various locations throughout the footprint, and their arrangement is related. For example, living elements are positioned in the corners, while meeting spaces are focused more towards the front elevation. Here we have a site overlay. In general, the idea of the canopy is such that it just provides a spatial contrast to the overall building dimension. Anytime you're viewing the structure as a whole, you're always kind of thrown just a bit off because you have two opposing structures, um, causing the mind to always be working out the difference. Again, from this view, we can see the site and we can see how the building and the canopy will be oriented towards the natural features and locations around the site. So here is where I created my models in the very beginning of the process. Um, I chose to use wood because I chose wood as my medium because I realized that I'm a carpenter at heart and I really like working with wood. So I'm looking forward to projects where we create these types of models early in the process and to see where it develops. But here for this project, you can see the layout beginning to um, take shape where we have rooms across the front facade as well as section across the rear of the building. But in general, there is a wide open walking space running from east to west in the spot. We get a better view of that here um, in the top view. So as I begin to diagram this out in Rhino, this diagram is an early rendition of how the structure eventually developed. But here we see on the first floor, we see a few structures such as the multi-use space here at the rear or at the back of the building. Towards the front, we have these medium-sized multi-use space as well on the first floor. On these flank corners, we also have the cafe, as well as a bathroom and the apartment for the housekeeper, and alongside the front side or the back side of the multi-use space, we have in this iteration the club space. As we move up to the second floor, we see that the multi-use space is actually 2 stories. To the right of that, we have the apartment, the group apartment, and then we also have the front facade. We have some small meeting areas. Again, this is an earlier concept, and I did move around some of these spaces. And as we go further, I'll show you how that developed. Here we have an axonometric view with the distribution in the 3D environment. You can see our circulation starting to develop here, basically allowing access to go from one end of the structure to the other. Here we have an exploded axonometric where we begin to see how the canopy and its structure interact with the building. Next here, we begin to see the one-line plans. And as you can see how I said some things have changed, whereas on this first floor now we have angled the housekeeper's apartment based on just wanting to create some juxtaposition of angles so to give something active to the eye. Because this is a rather symmetrical design. Here at the second floor, we've also located the group apartment up above where the housekeeper's apartment would be. And now we have all the living spaces to be in this northwestern corner. And here on the third floor, which is really one of the features of this design, it's a large open viewing deck, but there is one structure up here. I decided to move the club structure to this level because of the views, and I wanted to take advantage of that with this just being a place that was meant to be kind of different vibe than everything else. I felt like placing it up here on the third floor and it being the only structure would help to create that uniqueness of the space. All right, in this 3-stage axonometric, we begin to see, again, how the columns and the circulation work together. Here in the first image, Here in the first image, we see the column structure and how it weaves through the building. We see circulation with the 2 floors. Above the first floor, we see the circulation with the 3 floors. We also have very wide stairs going from level to level. We also have on the corners of the front, we have 2 switchback stairs, and back here on the back corner, the back right corner, we have another switchback stair. In the middle axonometric, we began to see how the spaces lay out and develop. We see on this 3rd level here, the guardrails are now in place, and we see some on the 2nd level as well. Across our front facade, much of this is going to be panel glass curtain walls. So the first floor is basically all curtain wall panel glass, but the middle 50% of the 2nd floor is open. And then obviously the 3rd floor is all open, except for the club room. And then in this last axonometric, we see the structure of the canopy and how it relates to the overall design and building mass. And how it relates to the overall building mass. As we go into the detail plans, again, as we go into the detail plans, what we have here is the first floor. Again, we have the housekeeper's quarters here, which is front door, and it's 2 bedrooms, a kitchen area, and a sitting area. Here we have the multi-use space with some bleacher type seating here that's made to be, that is collapsible if this space is ever needed to be opened up for any reason. We have the storage space over here. Here we have the storage areas for the first floor. And then we have the meeting spaces on the corners, as well as the cafe along the center of the space here. Here we have the second floor, and first we'll take a look at the uh, group or student apartment. We have 4 bedrooms on each corner. We have the front door as you walk in here. This is the living area. A little deeper is the kitchen. This back 2/3 corner is going to be a deck. And as you can see below this level, you can see the roof line of the housekeeper's apartment. And I kept it this way without access because I would think that these would be planter boxes. So just to bring some greenery, to bring some greenery up to the group apartment. Just below that, we have one of the bathrooms, and the bathrooms are spread on each end of this floor. And then we have in the corner 2 of the meeting spaces, 2 of the small meeting spaces, another 2 of the small meeting spaces, and then we have another 2 of them here, and then the last 2 of the small meeting spaces. Lastly, in the detailed plans, we have the 3rd floor, and again, this floor is basically a roof deck, and then we do have the club space here, but you can see the entrance here, as well as 2 entrances on the left and the right, and then a curtain wall, a glass curtain wall, and then a glass curtain wall along the rear facade. We have the section elevations, and first we'll take a look at section B, which is from left to right of the building. You can see the multi-use space here and the bleacher seating being cross-sectioned here. You kind of see the circulation of how you get up to 3rd level from multiple points. And here we have the elevator shaft. And one of the key features of this structure is the ability to have an unimpeded path from east to west, so people walking the path will be encouraged to walk through the structure along their travels. Here on the right, we have section C, which is the right side elevation. Again, we see the multi-use space, the 2 floors of it, the bleacher seating. We also see that walk-through space here. Some more circulation is how you get to the 3rd floor. And for the bottom image, we have section A, which is a front elevation. I also added a south elevation perspectival because I really like perspectival angles. And here we have a rear view or a north elevation perspectival, where we see in the center here the multi-use space, which is 2 levels of glass surrounding the building. You see the bleacher seating here in the middle. And lastly, we have the site view. And here you can actually see the walkways from the canal through the structure and around the structure. Again, the building is designed to encourage people walking along the path to detour through the structure and stay a while or just pass through. But to have an experience one way or the other that's memorable and pleasurable. So this concludes my presentation of M2.4. I hope you enjoyed it. I really enjoyed working on this project. I'm sure, like many others, a lot of time and dedication was put into it. So congratulations to everyone for finishing out the semester. And I'm looking forward to seeing other student submissions. Have a great summer, everyone. Thanks.